Hi, hello, vanakkam, and welcome back to yet another episode on your favorite Little's Law YouTube channel. So today, in this video, we're going to answer one of the questions that's been asked in our previous video. So the video was exactly to explain how to execute the JMeter script using different browsers. But then again, we have got a question that yeah, he's right. In fact, I would say because JMeter works at protocol level and does not exactly work as a browser. So, what's the point of adding user agent, or what impact will it have if I do not configure the user agent value? So, there are two things. One is I will explain you what is the impact of, or what exactly is happening behind configuring the browser, and the second part is how does setting up the browser, how does the configuring the browser will help or will impact in the performance response time. So we'll see both of these in this video. And before that, this is me, Asan Shanmugam. I welcome you all to our Little Star YouTube channel. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't subscribed yet. And as you all know, we are having our load runner training on September 14th and 15th. If you haven't registered it yet, and if you're interested to do, please do check the description for the link. I've shared the link, or else you can also reach me out in the WhatsApp as well. You know where's the WhatsApp channel link, and yeah. So let's go to the video and let's see how does this browser thing or the browser part impacts the performance, and how does it helps you in configuring the scripts. So as our subscriber has rightly said that I mean, in fact, I would say he's very clear in his understanding that JMeter indeed works at the protocol level and does not function as a full browser, but still configuring the user agent will have impact on our testing. So that's what we're going to discuss now. So there are like five different metrics, or five different things I would say. So firstly, the main thing is JMeter is a tool which is used for testing the performance of website and applications, which we all know, and it does not operate like a regular web browser like a Chrome or Firefox, but it works at the protocol level, meaning it sends requests to servers and measure how they respond, which we all know. That's what we calculate the response times, the throughput, and everything. So, but it does not load and display web pages like a browser does. Yes, we all know that, but even though JMeter is not a browser, setting the user agent in the JMeter can still be very important, because the user agent is a small piece of information that tells the server what type of browser or device is making the request. So why the setting that so we have come to the topic. So why setting the user agent matters. So first part is how the server responds, because some websites check the user agent to decide how to respond to a request. So by setting JMeter's user agent to look like a real browser, you have to make sure that the server responds in the same way it would for to a real user. And the second part is simulating simulating the real users. So when you configure JMeter to use a user agent, which is similar to a real browser, it helps JMeter to act more like a real user browsing the site, because that's what we are going to do. Even though we know that we are uh, emulating the load, we are not actual users and we are just emulating the load, but still, when you configure JMeter to use a user agent, which is similar to a real browser, you are helping JMeter to act more like a real user who is browsing the site. So this is important for performance testing, because you want to see how the website performs under conditions that closely match how people actually use it. So that's the second reason for setting the user agent. And the third part is the avoiding detection. So some websites can detect when they are being tested by automated tools, and they might block those requests. So this is very important part, because yeah, we all know some of the websites, I mean, like most of the websites, I would say, they detect when they are being tested with high load. So by using a realistic user agent, you reduce the chance of being detected as a testing tool, which means your tests will be more accurate and you get access to do the testing. And then this third part is the content delivery. So I mean, again, when it comes to avoiding detection, so your request, when you are like hitting in a too many number of requests, or when the throughput is high, it might be taken as a DDoS attack if it is not coming via the browser. So that is another reason why we are configuring the user agent. And the fourth part is the content delivery. So servers sometimes, yes, they deliver different content based on user agent. But for example, I would say a mobile user agent might get a mobile friendly version of the page, and setting the user agent in JMeter ensures that you are testing the exact content your users would see. And then finally, accurate analytics. So websites often track user agent information for analytic purposes, and if you set a realistic user agent in JMeter, the test traffic will show up correctly in analytics tools, giving you a better understanding of how your site handles real user traffic. So these are the five reasons, which is why the setting up the user agent is important. And now we'll see the advantage of setting up, and then how does it impact the, or how does setting the user agent impacts the performance time. So before that, in short, I will say, while JMeter, yep, the understanding is very right, and this is one which we have to understand. JMeter is not a browser, and configuring it to use the right user agent make your test more realistic and accurate, which will help you to better understand how your website will perform for real users. And it will also help you to uh, make the test running, because it will avoid the detections as well, like a DDoS attack, and also it will help you to understand the accurate analytics. So these are the five reasons, and now let's move to the second part. So now we'll see what happens if you don't set the user agent in JMeter. So the first thing is your default setting. So if you don't change the user agent in JMeter, as we all know, it will use the default settings, and this default user agent clearly will show that the request is coming from JMeter and it's not from a real web browser, because that level of uh, configuration is set up in all the servers. So it will tell clearly that, see, this request is coming from a tool and not from a browser. And the second thing is a possible problem. What are the possible problems? Are because JMeter's default user agent does not look like a regular browser, the server might respond differently than it would to a real user, and this could lead to a inaccurate test results, meaning you might not see how your website would actually perform for real people. So when I say it does not actually perform for real people, there are chances, or there are reasons where your response time might look better or it might look worse, because it's not what you're looking from the perspective of a real world user. And finally, the blocking or different responses. So some websites, I would say most of the websites or servers, may treat the request differently if they don't recognize the user agent as coming from a common browser. In some cases, they might even block or filter out these requests, which can mess up your testing. So it's always important to set up the user agent in JMeter. It can be Chrome, it can be Firefox, it can be Edge, but make sure you are setting up the, and again, like you said, yeah, it's not a browser, it's not a browser. Okay, I mentioned earlier, it's not a browser, but still the user agents are required for these reasons. And now we'll see why does it matter. So now we'll see why does it matter. That is, why does setting up the user agent matters? Because the first thing is the realistic testing. Because when you are not setting the user agent correctly, you might not get a true picture of how your website will behave under normal actions, which we have already seen. So to give a realistic taste to the server, to make sure that you are running a realistic test, you want to make sure that you are setting up the user agent, and then avoiding detection. So if the server notices that the requests are coming from JMeter, it could alter its behavior, which would make your test results less useful. And finally, the content delivery, the CDN, which we normally call, if the server does not recognize the user agent, it might not serve the content in the same way it would do to a real user, such as serving a desktop version instead of a mobile version. Again, we have this difficulty as well, because it might need to know whether the request is coming from a desktop version, and if it is from a desktop version, what kind of browser are they using, and if it is a mobile version, what kind of mobile native. There are like native applications, and we do have hybrid applications, and we do have um, lots and lots of different configurations, I mean, in terms of the user agent. So we have to make sure that we are sending the right set of user agents, to make sure, or again, the content delivery might get confused, the content delivery network might get into issues when you are not sending the proper user agent, and you might be getting a different set of biased results. So to avoid all these, we have to make sure that we are sending the right user agents. And now we'll see uh, the next part, which I have already told you. So we'll see how does R can setting a user agent in JMeter affect the performance results. That's very important, right? Because now we know that we have to use user agent, but what if we don't use it, or like how does the user agent in the JMeter will affect the performance test results? So now the most important question, can user agent affect performance testing or performance test results? Let's see that now. So the first thing is the server behavior. So some server responds differently depending on the user agent they see. For example, they might allocate resources differently, or they will take more time to respond if they think the request is coming from a specific browser or device. And this part or this uh, reason could impact the response time and how much load the server experiences. And then the second thing is the content delivery, which we already discussed, the content negotiation. So the user agent can affect the type of content the server sends back to the user. For instance, if the server thinks it's dealing with a mobile browser, it might send a mobile friendly version of the site, or it might deliver content in a specific language based on user agent. These I mean like I mean so these differences can change the size and complexity of the response, which can affect how fast or slow the site feels. Because if you, even if you see, for an example, let me show you this one, that this will clearly explain you. So for example, let me open the Pizza Hut. So let me open Domino's. And here you can see the mobile version, sorry, the internet, the desktop version. And I can even show you if I go to the inspect tool. So now you are seeing the desktop version, and here if I'm trying to change it to mobile. So just imagine the change it immediately has happened, because if you see in the previous window you have got a lot of information, right? All these informations are there, but when you change it to the other mode, just imagine there's a change of the size, right? So there's a change of the padding. I mean, if you see here on the right side, you could see block mobile, and the settings automatically changes to mobile. But on the other hand, if you see with the other one, so the settings, I mean, is actually changing, right? So this is what I'm telling you about when it comes to user agent, right? So when you're delivering it, the content delivery, the CDNs might not know whom I'm sending, which user agent I'm sending the data to, whether it's a mobile browser, or is that a desktop browser or a laptop, right? Or a mobile, like it's a non-mobile browser. And so that's the reason I'm stressing on adding the user agent. And then the caching. So servers often use caching to speed up responses, which we all know. We are often use this caching to increase the response times, and we remove the caching to emulate more of a response times, to give more stress to the server. So storing copies of contents to serve faster. So however, they might cache content differently based on the user agent, and this means that the time it takes to get a response can vary depending on which user agent is used, leading to inconsistent test results. And then the fourth part is analytics and logging. So websites track information about who visits them, including the user agent, to understand their audience better. And this information is used in web analytics tools and server logs. Yes, we all know the analytics tools to know how much user is using the system during the peak hours and during peak period of time, like which set of users are using which set of transactions. So using the user agents like the websites, they use this information in and web analytics tools and server logs. So while this does not directly change how the server performs, it does affect how your test traffic is recorded and analyzed. So these test traffic will be recorded in your analytics tools, right, which is important for understanding your test results, because some of the times we always normally monitor the I have server logs as well. So it's very important in terms of analytics and logging as well, and the avoiding of detection. So if you use a realistic user agent, your test traffic is less likely to be spotted as coming from an automated tool. So some websites have ways to detect and block automated testing tools which can mess up your tests by slowing down or even blocking your request. So by using a real looking user agent will help ensure your test runs smoothly. And finally, the realistic simulation. So realistic setting. So setting the right user agent makes your tests more like what real users experience. So that's what we need. Again, we are not able to use realistic users. So for example, if you want to test 200 users, load test, you're not going to use all the 200 users, but instead what you're doing is you are emulating it, you are simulating it, right? You're trying to simulate, but still when you are using when you're not using the right user agent, your test will not look like a real user test, but instead when you're using the user agent, your test will more look like what real users experience, and this leads to more accurate results because the server treats your test request just like it would treat real visitors. So that's the reason we are using the user agents, and I believe, I mean, again, I should really thank my subscribers and for asking me questions like this. I mean, I'm really grateful for that. So thanks for asking me this question, and I believe this video would have been very useful to you. So please do share this video if someone is struggling to understand why do we need to use user agents. And I believe this video would be very useful to you. So until I meet you in my next videos, bye bye from Vasan Shanmugam and your favorite Little Star YouTube channel. Take care and bye bye.